The chapel was silent, stained glass glowing in the autumn sun when the unthinkable happened. Queen Camilla's hymn book slipped from her trembling hands. A heartbeat later, she crumpled forward, collapsing in front of hundreds of mourners, right beside King Charles. Gasps rippled through the sacred space. For a split second, centuries of royal tradition seemed to hang in the balance, and then Catherine, Princess of Wales, made her move. With one subtle nod, she ordered the music to play on. That single decision transformed chaos into composure, shielding Camilla's dignity from the eyes of the world. But what really happened inside that chapel? And what does it reveal about Catherine's strength and the future of the monarchy? If you're fascinated by these rare glimpses behind the royal curtain, you're in the right place. Make sure to like this video, subscribe, and share it with friends who love royal stories. It helps us grow our community and bring you even more powerful moments from inside the palace. Now let's step back into that unforgettable day at Windsor. The atmosphere inside St. George's Chapel that autumn morning was supposed to be one of solemn dignity. The memorial service had been planned to the finest detail: black coats and polished shoes, hymns chosen to echo Queen Elizabeth's own funeral, and a congregation arranged like chess pieces on the ancient stone pews. The message was clear: the crown endures. But beneath the grand ritual, there was something more fragile at play. Camilla, the queen consort, had carried the invisible weight of expectation for 3 long years. Every step, every word, every public glance seemed haunted by comparisons to the late queen. Those closest to her had noticed the signs: her white-knuckled grip on Charles's arm, her face drawn pale under the brim of her black hat. But in the pageantry of monarchy, small cracks are often ignored until they split wide open. And then, in the middle of the hymn, "The Lord's My Shepherd," it happened. Camilla's hymn book slipped from her fingers. The sound of it striking the stone floor was louder than it should have been, echoing like a gunshot in the hush of the chapel. For one suspended second, no one moved. And then her body gave way. Her legs buckled, her posture collapsed, and the Queen Consort of England crumpled in the front row of the royal family. The reaction was immediate, yet muted by centuries of drilled protocol. A sharp gasp rippled through the mourners. Charles lunged to catch her, his hymn book falling forgotten from his hands. Security staff tensed but hesitated, royal etiquette dictating they not draw attention to the scene unless absolutely necessary. Members of the congregation shifted forward in their seats, torn between instinct and protocol, between compassion and composure. Imagine that moment: hundreds of eyes staring forward, but no one quite daring to move. The monarch himself caught between duty and desperate fear for his wife. Even the grand organ seemed to falter, its notes trembling as though the chapel itself had drawn a shocked breath. And all the while, silence pressed in like a weight. In that frozen silence, all eyes turned toward the front rows. And it was here that another figure quietly stepped into her moment: Catherine, Princess of Wales. She had been watching, noticing what others missed: the subtle tremor in Camilla's hand, the way her breathing had quickened, the fragile mask of composure slipping away. Years of learning to master her own public nerves had trained her to read those invisible signs. Where many saw only a queen consort fainting, Catherine saw something much deeper: the toll of grief, of duty, of being asked to replace the irreplaceable. Beside her, William's eyes met hers. His look was steady, a silent message they'd exchanged 1,000 times in the face of public storms: "We're in this together." It was only a glance, but it carried the weight of an entire partnership. And still, Camilla lay slumped in Charles's arms. The king's face, usually so controlled, was raw with panic. For a moment, he was not the sovereign, but simply a husband terrified of losing his wife. The congregation shifted uneasily. Some whispered prayers under their breath. Others kept staring forward, desperately clinging to protocol as though pretending not to see might restore order. And the children, George sitting stiff in his first morning coat, Charlotte clutching the hem of her navy dress, little Louis swinging his feet nervously, watched with wide eyes, trying to understand a world that suddenly didn't match what they'd been taught. The organist's hands hovered uncertainly above the keys. Should the music stop? Should the service pause? One wrong choice could transform dignity into spectacle. And that was the instant Catherine knew. A decision had to be made, not just for Camilla, not just for Charles, but for the monarchy itself. She rose ever so slightly in her seat, her hand lifting just enough for the conductor to see. The message was quiet but firm. Keep playing. The music swelled once more as if nothing had happened. The voices of the choir returned, carrying words of comfort up into the vaulted ceiling. Most in the chapel followed the cue, singing on, shielding the moment with their sound. From the outside, dignity was intact. From within, a crisis was unfolding. And so, in a single breathtaking moment, centuries of royal composure nearly fractured, but were held together by one quiet gesture from Catherine. Camilla's collapse would be remembered as the crisis that tested the family, as strength in public view. Yet what followed was not chaos, but calm. A princess stepping forward, not with grand speeches or dramatic action, but with the smallest of nods that changed everything. But what happened after that nod? How did Catherine protect Camilla from the world's cameras, manage the unfolding crisis, and prove she carried the steel of a future queen? That's the story of Chapter 2.